this project. Your support as customers has helped make this happen, helped fund a lot of what you're seeing. And this factory is being built to really transform the industry. We're changing the world, and you guys are helping us do that. So thank you very much. We're going to have fun showing you what's going on in the factory right now, what we're working on, and talking more about what's coming in the future.
We'll start at the beginning, and where I kind of conceptually think of the beginning is four years ago in 1 month, I believe. I just learned this fact today. The first Model S shipped.
Correct.
And as we all know, kind of Elon's super secret plan, right? So we're now transitioning into the second phase of that plan, which is to bring a low cost, an affordable car to market. The way that affordable car is going to come to market is by producing lithium-ion batteries at an enormous scale in order to bring the overall cost down. So the conception of this whole building and all the processes within this building are really with the idea of how many lithium-ion batteries can we produce within the footprint that we have in order to make electric vehicles affordable for the mass market. So from there, in order to do that, we want to learn a little bit about how an actual battery is made and why and what the importance of it is.
Yeah. Coming up from the south this time.
Okay, cool. They switched it.
There were questions earlier about recycling. Where we're driving right now is actually a good candidate for recycling because it's further upstream from the actual cell manufacturing. But now we're getting into E. So we're finally getting there.
But it's still a long time until you really start recycling because the life cycle of the battery is 10 years, so you don't have to rush with that.
Yeah.
That's right.
How busy is this on a normal day?
Right now, so just to give you a little perspective, I don't know if you saw this steel structure. Now we're inside, but we just drove by a pretty good sized steel structure. So that steel structure started getting erected on Monday. So that.
Oh, cow!
All the foundations for the new construction work are complete as of last week, and that started about a month ago. So it's going extremely quickly. On a normal day, but you'll see it. There's probably approximately 1,000 construction workers on site working. So this is the start of the tour. So if you all want to get off the bus, pause. I don't want to come on down.
Oh, sorry. I was an elbow. But then what again?
Open up a view inside the building where obviously all the walls are built, but it is a 3-story factory. We would be standing right now on essentially the first floor. Right above us is the second floor. The second floor is not continuous throughout the entire structure. It varies depending on the need, on the size of the equipment that's actually in the room beneath it. So if you kind of look down that way a little bit, you'll see that the second floor stops and you're exposed directly to the third floor. So you'll see that repeats itself throughout the more built out factory. And again, is kind of based on the needs of the actual equipment that's in that room. Really quick chemistry lesson as far as what a battery is. So a battery is essentially an anode and a cathode, or a positively charged medium and a negatively charged medium, with a dielectric separator in between them, with a medium that creates electrolysis between those two, and then it goes into a small container and gets what they call capped and cammed. So
That's a new one?
This is the new one.
Looks bigger than, yeah.
Yeah, this is the 2170. So 21 millimeters around, 70 millimeters tall versus I think 1865 is what's in the current product.
So 30% more capacity around.
That's right. That's right. So with that, if you guys want to follow me. So most of you have probably seen images like this or similar to this on the internet, but just to kind of reiterate, so section A, that's where Tesla energy products are made. B, C, and D, you can see D because we just went over it, it doesn't have a roof on it, so it still didn't have so section D is essentially what we were just in, which is open air. This is the wall right here, is the wall that separates section D from section C. And that structural steel we were looking at, that's right there. So just right now we're standing essentially right here, and we're gonna move to the north throughout the tour.
I want to point something out. So the cell manufacturing that's being populated with equipment right now, the B and C, these are the two sections, make up B and C. That manufacturing capacity will be increased fourfold, so 4 times as much capacity out of what's roughly twice as much space for this part that Josh is building for us right now. This extra space to the north of A allows for more vertical integration for the battery packs and some of the upstream components that feed the Tesla energy part of the manufacturing.
And then you can also kind of envision that this is only 14% of the finished footprint. If you could just kind of extend this oval out, you would see the full extent.
So in planning this, like, how much of it did you have planned a year ago? How much of it was, we'll figure this shit out later?
A little both. I mean, the grand vision was there a year ago, but it's changed dramatically.
Right.
So much
like
has changed.
20% you knew what you were doing? No, I'm not lying, because like I've
no,
kind
I
of
would
built
say
it before and it was small.
Yeah, I would say we were halfway there, but every time we do this sort of make versus buy decision, how far upstream in the supply chain to go, it changes what we're doing. It changes the layout. For the battery pack now, we're building the enclosures. We're planning to build the enclosures on site instead of shipping those big metal parts here, for example.
So every year is different.
Yeah, yeah, and then my layout gets blown up and we have to change it around. Yeah.
We're gonna need you to do this again.
Yep.
And then construction's like, why can't you guys just make a decision?
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of the materials that come in to make the battery manufacturing process are sensitive to differing air conditions or differing humidity conditions. So they call this an air shower. This is like a primary access point for the raw materials that come in. You have blasted and neutralized to like their preferred humidity levels, and then moved on into the mixing process.
Papi.
It's all planned to be like torn down and repurposed, right? Just on the outside of the next section. So it's stored on site and then brought back online. So I've learned from Eric tonight, this is an unusually wide corridor, and so is this. It's kind of like the logistics heart of the factory. So a lot of the materials are going to come through here, and the plan is it's such a big factory that it needs a big hallway with so many materials coming through here. So although space is certainly at a premium even at such a large footprint, this is such a central and key corridor that it's actually maintained a little bit more width. So now we're going into mixing. So in mixing, basically within mixing, so materials come through the air shower if required, or otherwise through here, and they're going to be batched into a sort of a homogeneous slurry mixture, so a medium that gets everything mixed up and ready to be applied to the aluminum substrate that's going to create the kind of chemical magic that's within the battery cell. So looks like we're maybe a little bit on the heels of the group in front of us. So, any
would raw
questions?
materials come in there, or
Yeah, raw materials essentially in powder form.
powder form?
Will
Okay.
be coming in through here on pallets or.
So do the raw materials get processed into powder form somewhere else, or?
Yeah, I mean, in some cases they're
Off-
mined. In some cases
okay.
they're whatever. They're so literally the lithium and the ion and all that stuff. gets-
Okay, so some of it gets off-site processed, some of it might get processed
I
on-site.
don't think we're doing any like chemical, like we're doing chemical recovery on site, and these guys will talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
But we're not doing any chemical processing from like pure raw materials on site.
Okay.
Maybe we keep talking about like going further upstream.
Yeah.
So at some point we don't want to go that far.
Yeah.
I don't think you want Tesla mining.
Sustainable mining.
Well, I guess it's good.
So the miners would get it into the powder form for you guys? Kind of?
Yeah,
Or basically,
I don't know that much about raw
or
material
something, yeah.
extraction. It's
Okay.
a little outside
Yeah.
my bailiwick. One of our facility experts.
Hi.
Welcome. My name is Jacob. I'm on the factory design team here at the Gigafactory. This is cathode coat and dry. You just came from cathode mixing, where we receive in our active battery material, which comes in the form of a dry powder. In this room, we're trying to attach that powder to a thin metal foil, which gets used downstream, which you'll hear about in the next rooms. So the way we do that, because it's kind of hard to attach a dry powder to a metal foil, is in that room, we mix it with a solvent and kind of make this very wet slurry. We actually pump it all the way down to the very far end of this room where it enters the oven. This entire massive structure behind me is one big oven where we're making our electrode material. So we bring in rolls of aluminum foil, very thin, and unwind them at the very far end of this machine. The foil then comes through a coating booth, also on that far end there, where kind of like a printing press, we are applying a very thin layer of this wet slurry on top of the metal. The metal then comes towards us in the bottom chambers of the oven, where it's getting blasted by hot air. By the time it reaches the end here, all that solvent's evaporated, and what you're left with is that metal foil with that battery material attached to it. Then we actually turn vertical and flip over, so what used to be the bottom of the foil is now the top, and there's another coating booth up there behind me, and we do the exact same thing to the other side. And that gets baked as it goes through back towards the far end of this room. And by that point, we have a very thin piece of aluminum foil with battery material on either side of it, which is now dry and attached to it. I mentioned that there's hot air blasting each chamber of this oven, and in doing so, we're extracting this solvent at the same time. So instead of just dumping that solvent-rich air into the outside, we actually collect all of it. There's two large ducts at the very far end of the room that you can see. We duct that air over to the next room where we strip the solvent back out, clean the air, and then bring it right back into the oven. So it's actually a closed loop of air. It never leaves the building. The solvent, however, it goes out to our utility yard where we clean it, and then that comes back as well and is used for the next batch of slurry. So both the air and the solvent are in a closed loop, and all that's coming out is that foil covered with the battery material. This oven was the single largest user of electricity in the facility. You can tell it's pretty massive. There's a lot of hot air to heat up in there. But over the last year or so, Tesla and Panasonic engineers have been working together, trying to optimize as many systems as we can in the factory. We've redesigned this oven, we've redesigned the solvent system as well, and in doing so, we cut the electrical load by about 80%. So this is the first oven of many. There's going to be another one here in a few months, standing right where you are, and there's going to be many more in the building that was under construction that you entered from. So obviously, every time we can save that massive amount of energy, As you know, we're trying to hit a net zero goal here at the factory, so the easiest way to do that is to cut our electrical load inside, and whatever left we'll make up with renewables on the outside.
Hopefully you never need to use the hot shower.
What's that?
Hopefully you never have to use the hot shower.
Yep, hopefully not. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Isolation for the fire.
I'll just say I think that's a really good example of kind of when we use the term vertical integration. A lot of people, a lot of companies, the logical thing to do would be just to simply buy the coil from the manufacturer or maybe just the finished battery. But by actually integrating Panasonic into the process and having Panasonic integrate us into their manufacturing process, we actually create sort of a synthesis where now we're using less energy and getting a product that's more specifically suited for our needs as Tesla.
We started on that. We started on the very end of the facility here. D was like a structure. This is now kind of transitioning right now from C to D. For a full section, we go into this one. Maybe even more. It's a straight line. Just a straight line. Sound like that's important. Damn it, Bert. That's asbestos.
They were sort of explaining, as they were explaining in the other room, essentially that aluminum foil with now the baked on medium comes out, but still in the baking off of the solvent process, there actually is sort of wasted space where the solvent baked off. So now this is the aluminum press. So those spools get brought over into here, loaded up onto these machines, and pressed out to basically make them now then, you know, quote unquote perfectly flat within a specification, so that they can then be repackaged and eventually bundled up into the actual caps and cans. We have some experts here that I think will provide a little bit more background. I think they might be calling it done. If they end up taking off, we'll have Eric provide the sort of technical commentary.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Typically run every day.
So these have just been installed. So these have actually not produced product.
Right now, the battery, what are y'all producing now?
So right now, the manufacturing currently going on in the building is in building A, and it's Tesla Energy manufactured.
Just the Powerwall stuff?
Just the Powerwall.
Just the Powerwall?
Yeah. 1.0. Yeah, exactly.
Assembling the power the packs or something.
That's right. That's right.
So the cells come in from Panasonic and you assemble them to the pack.
That's right. And eventually, all of that production capacity will be brought in-house here. So rather than
The
bringing
cells will be produced here eventually.
yeah.
How does everybody get along? Like, they're trying to ship stuff out, y'all trying to build a factory. He already laughed. He's like,
So
everybody gets along pretty
the relationship with Panasonic is an interesting one. They're truly a partner. In some cases, they're a tenant. In some cases, they're an owner. In some cases, they're local, Panasonic USA. In some cases, they're abroad, Panasonic Japan. So it's a complex relationship, but
It's like a marriage.
It's a marriage.
Like
And-
somebody's winning, someone's losing every time.
No, in a marriage. It's
The man always loses.
So those guys taking off? Yeah. Okay. All right. So one of the questions that we've gotten along tonight is can you actually make those battery cans more efficient, therefore providing a longer charge time or higher density output? One of the problems that we realize when we do that is that if you press the aluminum foil too thin, you actually break down the structural integrity of the molecule itself, making it impossible for the ions to travel across the face of it. So there actually is sort of a happy or perfect medium. It's about 60 to 80 microns, which in context is essentially the width of a human hair. So in this room, that's what happens is they run the aluminum foil through these presses, press them down to 60 to 80 microns. And you see where Eric's standing, he's standing in our ASRS racking.
You can go ahead and come in here and walk through, put your head in, make room for the next people behind you. But just want to give you a quick look at some of the scale of what we're dealing with at the factory. So this is a storage array for the material. It's moving between different production lines, different steps in the process flow. So some of the coils that we've been talking about, you can see the racks have sort of an interesting fixture in it where the coils can rest. There's another storage unit similar to this one that is for all the raw materials coming into the factory. Again, this will be built in the next section south to support 4 times as much production as what you're seeing in here. So there'll be a much bigger array in the factory the part of the factory that's being built to the south. The material that's stored in here is delivered by an AGV. We're going to walk by it here in a minute. This is all done automatically. Everything's so heavy, people can't do it. So these machines are loaded by that same AGV that takes the material in and out of this storage array. All right.
Are these the same things that are 3 months for the automated?
Same idea, magnetic strips. Yeah. You'll see some in the Tesla car they're manufacturing that don't require these strips. They use laser for their guidance.
There will be humans involved in the process, doing quality control, making sure that the equipment is running properly, doing maintenance checks. But for the main heavy material handling stuff, it'll be an AGV such as this.
So this is diagrams. You see that's over here.
Just gonna poke my head in here.
Is that white coating on the structure like for flame?
Like the cementitious material there? Yeah, that's painted white, but the actual material itself is a fireproofing material.
Hey Josh, if it's clear, we should just
I can hear Auditor talking, so just for the sake of this tour, we're only touring on the first floor. The process continues after the battery cell medium leaves press. So there's then a slitting process that cuts it down into the actual size, 70 millimeters or 65, depending on what it is. And then there's also the cell charging and discharging stations and a number of processes that happen, what we call the cap and can, which happens up on the 3rd floor. So from there, the product moves through there and then moves into here, which is the cell aging room, which provides the buffer for the product. So they're just finishing up in there. So
yeah, I guess one thing to point out is upstairs where the main assembly line is for cell manufacturing. So up until where we just got out of pressing, the material is in this huge roll. it's in a really large roll that has a large diameter, large width. And like Josh explained, after it goes upstairs, it gets cut into something that's still a very large diameter, but it's only the width that's the equivalent to the length of the cell. So it's this wide, and then you take strips off of that and roll it up into a little cylinder that's just big enough to slide into this canister. These canisters are going to be made here as well. So we get rolls of steel in that are pressed into this, drawn into this can shape, and then the cap is also made in this factory. And all that assembly occurs upstairs. We're not going to see those lines, but then after assembly, we come down into this aging room.
That slitted roll within the anode, the cathode, and the dielectric medium in between is called the jelly roll because it actually looks like a jelly roll. So,
How do you switch to the different size battery?
More energy storage.
Is that the roof up there, or is that the second floor?
That's the floor of the third floor.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay.
What's going on the third floor?
That's where all the magic happens. Let's push this one down.
Won't take you.
A lot of stairs. You guys have got too much alcohol. We're not taking
Good excuse.
Welcome to Tesla. Welcome to Tesla.
The robot's very friendly. His name is Cortana. We'll say please and thank you, so it's very polite. Alright guys, come on down. Welcome to Cell Warehouse. This is basically one of the finished pieces of the cell manufacturing process you guys have been following. What ends up happening is we make finished cells out there. There's one giant assembly process to bring all the parts together. They get dumped in right here. Imagine basically all these cubbies filled with a bunch of these trays filled with a bunch of cells inside of them. That's how many cells we're making. What's really cool is that actually once these cells are basically finalized, they come out and they get delivered 10 feet from here over at the Tesla section. You know, otherwise, the way it's conventionally done, cells are made in Asia, they get shipped over, lots of inefficiencies, lots of costs, and lots of emissions. So bad overall, this is definitely a much, much better process. Some of the way we actually deal with some of the size of the factory is through automation. So my colleague here, Meredith, here to talk about that.
Hey guys, my name's Meredith. I'm an industrial engineer on the factory design team here at Gigafactory. I'm sure you noticed our little robot here on your way in, yeah?
Tesla.
Let's say hello, that's perfect timing, yeah. This is what we call an automated guided vehicle. It's an AGV. We're building a really big factory. I think you guys probably are aware. We're going to be carrying a lot of materials throughout that entire factory. Let's do that super efficiently, right? This is a really great way for us to leverage automation to move material around, kind of in the same way that we leverage automation in our production lines to make products. You guys are actually about to go see some of that next. We have some cool robots working in the next section. So I think you guys are about to head that way. You're gonna love it. There's some power walls and power packs being made in there. So enjoy the evening. We're super glad you guys are here to join us, and thanks for letting us show off our factory to you.
How long do the cells stay here in the aging?
It depends.
Like a week or a month or
That time frame, yeah.
around there?
Yeah.
Okay. So why does it need to age? Is it just to like kind of settle in?
It's
and
like
stuff?
marinating.
Marinating?
Yeah, it's gotta kind of settle all the chemistry kind
Okay.
of goes into it. So.
Okay, cool.
Mysterious answer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we already know the demand for the Model 3 product, so that'll be up and running 24/7. This is the Tesla Power Pack and Powerwall products. So, you know, still figuring out our place in the marketplace, and right now it's a single ship. Okay, so we're bringing you here into the Tesla energy space now. The actual making of the battery pack is going to be very similar to what the Model 3 battery pack is going to look like. So we've already shown you the kind of individual cells. So then we'll be taking and putting it through this sub-assembly process as we go through. Essentially, we'll learn a little bit more about the Power Pack and Powerwall products, but these are the Tesla Energy sort of home use or industrial use products. And yeah, let's go take a look. Huh?
It's a different brand.
You guys ordered a Powerball?
On the first day,
Oh, really?
yeah.
That's being deployed as we speak.
these Panasonic cells for them?
These are.
Yeah.
So, power wall. So essentially you have two power modules that make a single power wall, and then I think it's 10 of those go in to make up a power pack.
So upstairs, is that the same type of manufacturing as we saw back there?
So it,
For cell manufacturing upstairs?
yes.
So it's kind of like the whole process that we saw.
So this will be our lab.
Like a IKEA furniture, yeah. Order all the workstations. This is where we work. Got Eric's desk over there. Mine's over there by cable.
Okay, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of our energy products we make here at the Gigafactory. To the left here, we have a power wall. Power wall has one pod in it. You saw those pods being made on the assembly line here. Power wall is for home use. It has about 6.6 kilowatt hours of energy. Energy storage, you charge it during the day when the sun's up. You come home from work, instead of going back on grid, you just charge your battery. Over here we have a power pack where we put 16 pods into a pack. We sell these to industrial customers. It has 100 kilowatt hours of energy storage. A lot of our customers will use this at night. They'll charge it at night when utility rates are low. And then during the day, when utility rates are high and everyone's running their AC, they can discharge off of this battery pack rather than pay the higher rates. To put that into context in terms of their capacity, if you took, for example, a 40-inch flat screen TV, ran it off your power wall, and that was the only thing you're running, you could watch TV for 23 days straight on a single charge. Plug that TV into a power pack and you're watching television for almost a full year on a single charge. In front of us here, we have a Model S chassis. We'll be making battery packs for the Model 3 here at the factory. It has a similar design to the Model S in that the battery pack will be under the chassis of the car like it is on the Model S. We're very excited to be making those products here when the Model 3 launches. And have you go ahead and keep moving along. There'll be some questions at the end. People can answer questions at the end. But thank you guys for coming and visiting our factory. Hope you had a good night tonight.
the battery pods get manufactured together, and then they get put over here into the battery pack, and then packaged up and ready for shipment.
What does he do? I just have a whole
Tesla.
So now we're at the end of our tour. These are essentially the loading docks, the outgoing loading docks that your Model 3 batteries will be shipping out of. So final materials get taken from sub-assembly, fully assembled, packaged, stored here for storage, and then shipped out. Kind of creating an end. That's the end of the tour. That's sort of the end of the factory for the time being. Eventually, there'll be a hole in that wall, and we'll be going straight into Section F from here. Why we go from Section A to Section F, I don't have an answer for that, but it'll probably be renamed some point in the future. Around the corner, there's kind of like a bevy of experts if you want to learn more about cell manufacturing or the way that the factory operates. After that, Eric and I will need to leave pretty quickly because I think we have another tour group lined up. But feel free to ask them questions, grab some water, and then head back to the tents for everything. Logistics aside, it's been my pleasure getting to talk with you a little bit tonight. I really hope you enjoy your Tesla products and we continue to support what I think is a great company. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
On behalf of Eric and I.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.